Thank you very much, Ben. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I wanted to make sure I grabbed my little napkin handkerchief because after a few minutes of speaking, I start sweating like an old Southern Baptist preacher. So, I got to start dabbing the forehead real quick here. Hey, it's so great to get down here to Tacoma again and to see everybody on actually a beautiful, beautiful sunrisey day. So this is really nice to come down and be part of the Sunrise Rotary this morning. I do a lot of speaking engagements all over the country now, and soon to be all over the world internationally. And it's a big difference between speaking when you're on the road. You've taken a plane, you checked into the hotel, you get your wake-up call, you're off and running, as opposed to speaking engagements that are a little more local in nature. Like here in Tacoma, last week I was up in Everett at the Everett Rotary Club, at the Everett Golf and Country Club up there. Early morning, just like this one here. And, I'm an early morning guy anyway. Get my workout in real quick at the gym downtown Seattle. And as long as everything stays in line and on track, things work out well. And so last week, I'm running out of the house with my workout bag, I've got my suit bag, and everything's good to go. And I got to shorten my workouts. Normally I get there around 6, but for these early morning speaking engagements, it's 7 or so. I've got to get there a little bit earlier, so 5:30, 5:15, get the workout in, and then hit the road and run off to my appointment. So I did that last week, and thinking I had everything in order, only to find out that as I'm in the shower and I'm drying off, getting ready to put the suit on, I only have my shower slippers with me instead of my dress shoes. I'm like, oh no, this isn't going to look good, it's not going to work. So good thing I had like an 8-minute window of time extra, and I quickly ran back home, grabbed my shoes, put them on, and headed up to Everett. Got there right on time, started at 7:15. Now, this morning, kind of a similar thing happened again. So here I am, leaving the house, got the bag, got the suit bag, workout gear, making sure I've got my dress shoes, go with my suit, the shirt, everything's good to go, only to find out that I forget this time my shorts that I'm going to work out in. I said, oh no, I've got my compression shorts, my little tight undershorts underneath, but no baggy shorts to kind of, hide up all the stuff we're trying to hide up. At least we're in the gym in the first place, right? So I'm like, oh man, here it is. It's 5:15, 5:30. There's only a handful of people out there that I know in the gym. I'm going to go for it. So I've got my little compression shorts on, and I'm trying, not to be too conspicuous and act like everything's normal. And friends are looking and poking at me and saying, something's a little different about you today. And, these tight shorts are, in a way, I'm trying not to show too much junk in my trunk, because now I got a little more junk in my trunk than I used to. And not, and I don't want people to see how much power there is in my power anymore in the front. So I'm really trying to be, working out, getting my workout in. I'm starting to sweat a little bit because I feel like everybody's watching me. And I finally get through it, only to find that, several of my friends are poking at me, pointing fingers, and saying, look at James over there on the elliptical, he's got this tight shorts on and everything's showing. And I said, hey guys, I'm only in here 20 minutes, I'm in and out, so, those kind of funny little things happen every time I try to squeeze in the workout before these early morning speaking engagements. But hey, it all works out somehow, and it's funny how we still care about what people think, no matter, how far along in the road we get. So, so I'm working these workouts in anyway, just because I got to stay on top of that kind of game. So it is really, really great to get here on time. Fred called me yesterday and made sure I'd be here a few minutes before 7. I said, sure, I'll be there, no problem. And so here we are. It's great to get back in Tacoma again. The last couple of years, I've been very, very busy with the book that came out. Should at least show you the copy of it here. Called Standing Above the Crowd. And it's not all about how to be 7 feet tall, right? It's about how to stand up, against the negativity, the adversities, the challenges that we go through in life. And I go all over the place speaking about this nowadays. Having a great time with it, having a lot of fun, speaking to groups that vary, anywhere from an elementary school that I went to last Friday up at Federal Way, to universities, to athletic teams, corporate America, and soon, you know, international companies. It's one of my passions that I love as far as giving back and really sharing some of the various strategies that I put into place, not only of how to be a professional athlete, like I was for 14 years in the pros, and another 6 years actually overseas, 2 years each in Spain, Italy, and Greece. So I had a 20-year professional basketball career. And, you know, when you couple that with the thought that the average NBA career is only 3 years, to play 20 years, and to still walk and talk and move around normally, you know, it's kind of a miracle in a way. But there's a way to make those things happen, a success strategy that you have to develop and put in place and implement. I've also been a small business entrepreneur with the Donaldson Clinic, physical therapy, sports rehab. I give them a lot of credit for keeping me put together in the first place, but for 22 years now, we're celebrating our 22nd year. Over the years, we've had locations here in Tacoma, up in Mukilteo, Seattle. Our main corporate office is up in Mill Creek. We've had locations in Cashmere, Washington, out there by Leavenworth, Wenatchee. And so, over those 22 years, that kind of was our footprint that we spread out to. And my job was to run around and be part of the various communities that we had our locations in. Joining the Rotary Club, I was a Tacoma 8 Rotarian for quite a few years. Joining various chambers of commerce, the business associations, the schools and reading programs. So that was kind of my job for the last 10 years or so. And really helping to build our not only our business, but also to get really, really involved with the communities that we were serving. When the economic downturn started happening, 2007, 2008, you have to make those hard, difficult choices to look at your various locations and to look at, how many years you might have left on the lease, equipment leases, space leases. And so, as any good business manager and business entrepreneur has to do, you have to start making difficult choices to get through what you're going through. And that economic downturn, hit us just as hard as anybody else. And so I decided at that point to, start pulling up stakes and rolling back the business a little bit and just try to get through all of this and survive to fight for another day, which is what we're doing. We're having a fantastic last couple of years up in Mill Creek. But unfortunately, one of my most favorite and passionate involvements was right here in Tacoma, right up on the hilltop on 10th and MLK. We were there for about 7 years. Matter of fact, I think the building is still vacant and the signs are still up, aren't they, Fred? I see them up there all the time. So, so the economic downturn is a reality, and it's something that's still going on, but us business entrepreneurs have to keep on going through what we're going through and live and fight for another day. And so that's still part of what I do on a regular basis. But since then, I've gone off and published a book and become a professional speaker and go all over the world talking, training, teaching, hopefully inspiring and motivating also. I'll be leaving next week. Matter of fact, I head over to China. And I just got back from China. I was over there in the month of December. Spent Christmas and New Year's, had a Chinese-style Christmas and New Year's over there. It was interesting. Anybody here been overseas in China yet? Okay, good. Got a few hands. Good. So I'm over there working on behalf of our NBA retired players, of which I'm a board member with the NBA Retired Players Association. So many of our guys, we play all these years, and we're so focused, we're so driven to be the best that we can be at only one very dimension in our life. We pass up everything else just to go for this goal that's in front of us. And some of the reasons that I got involved as a board member was, 3 or 4 things in particular. One, less than 20% of our guys have a college degree. Less than 20%. This is current and former players, NBA. And that's really, really, kind of a detrimental thing as far as getting on that pathway to success. No matter how big your contract is, if you don't know how to manage it, you're going to go through it. The average NBA career, like I mentioned, is only 3 years. So, guys come in at 18, 19, they're done at 22, 23. The 95% of the guys you don't hear about. You'll hear about an occasional LeBron James or Kobe Bryant or somebody, but there are dozens of other people who try out who don't make it, who've given up their college eligibility. There's a 95% divorce rate within 5 years after retirement. And again, see, poor guys are just not ready for all of what real life is all about. So here he is with a, most likely not a college degree, most likely with a career that's done by the time he's 22 or 25, most likely divorced by the time he's 30, most likely kids all over the country, but not just his wife, but several girlfriends, I'm sure, most of the guys, and most likely financially strapped, broke, and near bankruptcy by the time he's 40. See, and this is the trajectory of not only NBA players, but a lot of the NFL players, a lot of the Major League Baseball players, and then now it's starting to happen even with the WNBA players, the females. Luckily for them, they go to school and they get a degree. But still, because they're so focused and driven, many of them haven't prepared for life after the game. And so that's what we're doing at the board level with our retired NBA guys. And the interesting thing is that, that passion and drive that they have for sports, so many of them have a challenge refocusing that into something else that they're just as passionate about. Me, I'm passionate about the Donaldson Clinic. We're looking already towards our 25th year. We're looking already towards our 30th year. We've got goals, we've got plans, we've got a success track in place, we've got the team in place, we've got the vision, we've got the focus. All those things I learned primarily through sports are really helpful in what I do in my real everyday life. But so many of the other players really struggle with these things. And so those are a lot of the things that I continue to work on. There is life after the game. As a matter of fact, I'm thinking already of my next book, Life After the Game, and start to detail some of these curvatures that the guys are on, some of the odds that they face, some of the names and faces that you never ever hear about, but are just as good as LeBron and Kobe. But because they never get an opportunity, they never get a chance to show it. Look at the whole Jeremy Lin phenomenon. Okay? Everybody, you guys hear about Jeremy yet? Here in Tacoma? Come on now. Jeremy Lin. Now, the greatest news I heard about Jeremy Lin, and I'll get to his detail in a minute, is that he graduated from college. From Harvard. In economics. I mean, he's a bright, bright guy. And he's also got a real strong Christian faith. Good values. I mean, a great, great young person. So he gets his opportunity finally, after being cut by 2 other NBA teams, to play for the New York Knicks. And over the last month, he came in off the bench one day. Coach was just about ready to lose his job. The Knicks had lost like 7 out of 8 games. And he said, Jeremy, hey man, we don't have nothing left but you. Why don't you go on in the game and see what you can do? And he lit up whatever the opponent was that they were playing and really made a name for himself. And he did that not only for his first game, but here it is, his 10th and 11th and 12th game. And he's still putting up awesome, awesome numbers. And the Knicks have won 12 out of 14 games since he's been in the starting lineup. There are tons and tons of Jeremy Lins out there who never ever get an opportunity. We used to see him every year in training camp. Guys would come in and jump out of the gym and run circles around you, dunk over the whole team, and then they wouldn't make the team. It's hard to make the team when you're sitting behind somebody with a guaranteed contract. It comes down to economics. I know when I first joined the Sonics way back there, I joined the championship Sonic team. They won in '79, I joined them in 1980. There was no way I was going to beat out Jack Sigma, Lonnie Shelton, Dennis Autry, John Johnson, all these guys who are already champions and already there in front of me and already having guaranteed contracts. So I had to wait my turn. I had to keep on pushing and waiting for that opportunity. And finally, I remember, Dennis Autry went down with a bad back, and Coach Wilkins said, "Hey, James, hey man, we're gonna need you tonight." And I'm like, nervous. I'm thinking, I'm here, I'm a rookie. I've been playing against these guys in practice, but now I gotta go play in the game. And so those are the kind of opportunities that some players get, but most of them really don't. Or they give up on themselves. They get frustrated. They become a nuisance and a negative aspect to the team instead of a positive one. But the Jeremy Lin stories of the world are the ones that we all really pay attention to and make it all worthwhile. And so, there's a lot of great aspects to sports. For me personally, I'm always pushing for the guys to get their education. Get their college education. When I talk to elementary school kids, as I did in Federal Way last week, I encourage them, make a promise to yourself that you're not going to drop out of school, that you're going to at least graduate from high school. And then, the world of opportunities starts opening up in front of you. And our young people need to continue hearing those messages from all of us, not just athletes, not just sports heroes, not just role models, they're entertainers and all the rest of that, but from each and every one of us. To encourage them to stay in school, to encourage them to read, which is one of the reasons I got involved with Word and Reading and Read to Me, to have a little first, second, or third grader every Thursday afternoon and sit down with him, typically a little African-American boy who wasn't getting the support from home of a positive male role model, which is very typical in our communities, to read to him and have him read to me is something that is invaluable. It's something that we just can't place a price tag on those kind of things. And I hear from on occasion from one or two of those young people who are now in middle school, going to high school, still reading, still remembering those Thursday afternoons that we used to get together and read. And so, life is really what we make it. And I'm trying to make mine as fulfilling as possible, doing as many different things as I possibly can to give back to the communities that I love to be part of. I had the privilege of having breakfast this past Monday morning with my old Sonic coach, Lenny Wilkins, okay? And I asked Lenny, I said, how come a lot of guys don't get involved? I mean, Lenny's very involved. Lenny's 73, 74 years old now. And he's on more committees and more boards than you can shake a stick at. And he said, a lot of guys just, they never got real comfortable with that bubble that they live in. They start to live a life that's isolated, that's disconnected from real life, that's actually pretty lonely existence for a lot of them. Who can they trust? Who do they know? Where's the confidence in themselves once the game is over? And he shed some good insight on that. Because, he's very involved right now, and he is, with the arena, the new arena that's going to be built, hopefully in Seattle. He's very involved with the Boys and Girls Club, with Big Brothers, Big Sisters, with, Make-A-Wish. He does everything. He's doing TV commentating, for Pac-12 basketball. He was over in Pullman the other day doing UW and WSU game. That's the kind of way that I think I would love to model my life after. And continue just giving back, continue being part of being the best that I can possibly be. And so in a nutshell, those are a lot of the things that I've been doing over the years. I do hope one day to come back and re-engage business-wise in the community of Tacoma. I think it'd be awesome to be back here and continue the efforts that we were working on and continue to work on up in Upper Tacoma. The neighborhood needs those kind of efforts, needs those kind of investments, needs those kind of positive role models who people can look at and say, wow, they're here not just to take, but to give and to share, and everybody wins. And so kind of rounding out, my presentation for the morning, that's really what I'm all about as far as being a former NBA basketball player and a current business owner and very involved in the community. My whole reason for getting involved in a political game, I call it a game because it is kind of a game in a way, the political aspects of things, had its genesis right here in Tacoma. I remember meeting, you mentioned Drew Ebersol earlier, I mentioned a meeting with Brian Ebersol years ago. And Brian and I were sitting down talking politics one day, and I didn't know much about, the whole dynamics of what that was all about. Like a lot of people, wasn't really involved and engaged in the game of politics and how that could really help our overall communities. And so through Brian's encouragement, I got involved up in Seattle. Started meeting with a lot of politicians, a lot of people who were involved in the political process, seeing how that could help a lot of the neighborhoods and communities that we were trying to be part of anyway. And before I knew it, found myself running first for the Seattle City Council, and then shifting gears midway through to run for the office of mayor. And this was back in 2009. I came in a very respectable 4th out of 8 candidates, which was, for the first time run, not too bad. Now I'm looking at the dynamics in the city of Seattle, and I'm kind of like, whew, glad I didn't win. Whoa, that's kind of a no-win situation, no matter how you look at it. But that is really one of the very few ways that we can actually get involved with our communities and actually make a difference. If not as a candidate, at least supporting worthwhile quality candidates. Getting behind them, getting them to office, supporting them while they're in office, and helping them to make the best decisions that they can possibly do along the way to make our communities better. So I'll be taking a look at those things up in Seattle in the oncoming years. I'll probably sit up the next couple of years and take a look at it 2, 4, 5, 6 years down the road. So anyway, with that, I want to open up for Q&A if we have a few minutes for questions and answers, and I'd be glad to do a little interaction with you. Sure, what do you got there?
In the Seattle area, getting an NBA team, what do you predict?
Well, I was in Orlando a couple weekends ago at the NBA All-Star Game, and as a board member with the retired players, we had a chance and the privilege to have a small, intimate meeting with David Stern, Commissioner of the NBA. So David comes in, and the first question I asked, before the meeting even got underway, I said, David, hey, and I've known him for 30 years, so I can call him David, I hope. So I said, David, is there any good word I can take back to the good people up in Seattle about the arena? And he said, no, not really. And he was trying to figure out his words he was going to say. And he said, my focus, and he always calls me Mr. Mayor playfully, for the last several years he's called me Mr. Mayor. He said, my focus right now is to keep Sacramento in Sacramento and keep New Orleans in New Orleans, and no expansion plans. Okay, now David's finishing out his term probably another couple of years. So he's getting less and less hands-on and bringing in his right-hand deputy, Adam Silver, to do the more day-to-day heavy lifting stuff. But David let me know that yeah, go ahead and build the arena, and you can hope and wish and pray that one day another team will look to relocate, but it probably won't be anytime soon. And the way that we're packaging things up in Seattle is that there won't be any public involvement or commitments of funds until 2 teams are actually acquired, an NBA team and an NHL team. And both of them signed to long-term 30-year leases. So we still have a long way to go before we even look at the public funding, $200 million bond that's going to kick in. So that's kind of the answer to your question. I'm predicting probably we'll build it. It'll sit there empty for 2 or 3 years, like it does in Kansas City, like it does in Anaheim. They've got beautiful arenas waiting for an NBA team to come. And it'll sit there for 2 to 3 to 5 years before we actually get a team. It's kind of my personal prediction. Okay, but we'll build it. We have to build it, otherwise there won't be a chance to acquire a team. Yes?
I applaud what you're saying. Can you go on Amazon, I suppose, and find your book on Amazon.com.
Yes, you can. Thank you. My book publisher will kill me for not putting my little plug in. Is that a side gig that you want?
When I was on vacation last week, I got to read a couple of books by Lou Holtz.
Yeah.
He spoke at an event I was at, and what a great speaker. He speaks a bit with a lisp.
Yes.
He's kind of a little guy like me who's got a big heart and made it good. Changed a lot of people's lives in a positive way, and a lot of what you're saying parallels a lot of what he is saying.
Oh, yeah. Well, I've had great mentors along the way. I talk about Lenny Wilkins, and George Rattling was my coach over at WSU. Pat Riley was one of my favorite coaches in the NBA. A lot of good coaches who coached me and continue coaching me to really push myself to continue to be the best that I can be. So yes, so to answer your question, my book is available on Amazon. You can download it on your ebook, Kindle, Nooks, and all the rest of those things through Amazon. But if you want an actual physical copy of it, and especially personally autographed by me, you can go to standingabovethecrowd.com and just put your order in there, and it ships right out to you in a couple of days or so. Yes, got a question?
As a member of the professional public, what's in your view the number one misconception the public has of an NBA player, and what question do you get asked the most?
Well, anywhere I walk, and especially as I head back over to China, the question I get asked the most is how tall I am. Now in China, they ask a slightly different variation of that is, am I taller than Yao Ming? They all want to know that. I've got a photo of me and Yao Ming in here, and he actually towers above me 4, 5, 6 inches, So coming back from the NBA Retired Players Association and the All-Star Weekend, it's one of the few times in my life that I'm not the tallest guy in the room. There was like a handful of guys. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was there, Artis Gilmore, Tommy Burleson. All these guys are just, if not as tall, a little bit taller. So, but no, I think that the perception that most people have about athletes is that they live a life of ease and no worries, especially financial worries. That it's just kind of a gravy train that they're on. That perhaps they could be and should be more of a positive role model than a lot of them are. But if you remember Charles Barkley's commercial, was 15, 20 years ago with Nike, that he is not a role model, and he's done his best to show that over the years. But I think people want their athletes to be on this platform that they can continue looking up to and idolizing and emulating and having their kids be like. But I always say, that probably isn't the best role model that we should try to get our kids to emulate. I say look around at the parents, first of all. I got my great start from my great parents, who are still in my life to this day. My book is dedicated to my 85-year-old dad down in Sacramento. I talk to him every single Sunday morning before church. We talk, we recap, we just reconnect, and we look forward to that little 15, 20 minutes every single Sunday morning. And not a lot of people have that kind of positive aspect in their lives anymore, especially our young people. And so I think, we probably should reshift a little bit of our focus back onto parents, back onto school teachers, back onto positive people that are actually real people in our young people's lives. And athletes are a lot of times, you can emulate them and idolize them all you want, but very few of them are ever going to whip out a check and pay your rent for you, right? Or help you out in any kind of meaningful way. But, so that's why I say we probably need to, shift back a little bit. Another question? Great. Thank you.